Hey guys, so this video, as you may have seen the title, is gonna be about how to play healer class, why to be healer, and well then there's gonna be some gameplay of being healer, very exciting. So basically, most likely if you're here, you probably have chosen being healer class for dungeons. But if you haven't and you're that one guy who's watching it anyways, first of all, thank you. And second of all, don't click off because this video will give you a nice excuse to yell at your healer for being bad. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing that I want to say is why should you become healer? Well, the first reason is it'll help you find a dungeon party faster and that'll help you level up your skills faster and get more money because you won't have to wait and find a dungeon party, because healer is definitely the highest in demand. So if you don't already have a dungeon party, healer is definitely a good class to go. The second one is it isn't terribly expensive. So this large backpack has my healer gear, and this entire thing is probably around 20 mil. But when you compare it to other classes, 20 mil is basically nothing. I think the only other class that cheap to do without like completely maxing it out is Archer, because obviously if I had an overflux here, that would be like 80 to 90 mil. So yeah. So now let's get into the gear. So for armor, I would recommend a Mender helmet for sure. I also have a Revived Heart, but Revived Heart actually has lower stats other than the intelligence. So I would definitely not recommend this until your Catacombs level 33, because a 0-star Revived Heart is much worse than a 5-star Mender helmet. Here. So for the rest of your armor, I have 3 suggestions. For floor 1, you would want to use Wise, as you wouldn't need too much EHP. So the more mana you have, the faster you can clear out the floor, and the more you can heal and do some magic damage as well. But after that, I would either recommend tier 12 perfect or heavy. I think another one is zombie soldier, but I actually don't have that yet. That's what I'm going for right now. But basically, I would not recommend tier 12 perfect because of how expensive it is. And once you're past Catacombs level 8, heavy is actually better. So, yeah, so with this armor, I get around 18k EHP in dungeons right now, and around 800 intelligence. So, yeah, so that's what I would recommend for armor. So, another thing about armor is that Holy Dragon armor is probably the worst armor for this. So, if we quickly go to the hub, right? I don't have any holy armor pieces because it's like kind of expensive, but it's completely useless. So if we go here, you could see increases the natural regen of you and all players in a 6-block radius by triple. So it's only natural regen. So if you're a healer, most of the healing is gonna come from these 2 items, and they're gonna add, and the dungeon orb, along with your healer passive and jellyfish pet. So all of those don't count as natural regen, so you're not buffing them at all. But with the Mender helmet, all healing is doubled, so that increases those buffs by a lot. So now that we're done with the armor, let's move on to pets. Well, with that, there's really no competition. Jellyfish is definitely the best pet. It gives you a lot of health so you don't die and become tankier. So it increases your base regen, which isn't terribly useful, but it still helps. And then heals players within 8 blocks to up to 10 HP per second. So it adds on a lot of healing. And that 10 HP per second can get buffed to around like 25. Then there's Hungry Healer, which basically gives your teammates the enchanted golden apple effect. So this is useful for two reasons. One is that most people don't carry around enchanted golden apples. And the second one is like normally in Skyblock this would be useless as you could just have potions, but in dungeons you can only drink one potion at a time. So this gives some of the effects such as like defense, fire resistance, and etc. But it also does not count as a potion effect. So another really important thing with your pet, as you can see on mine, is that it has a bubble gum. So the way you get a bubble gum is that you head over to the pet house where you can find Cat, Bee, George, and I'm not sure what his name is. It's the guy who sells pet stuff. Yeah, Zog. So you want to go up to Zog. And the most expensive item he sells is this bubblegum. So this doubles the duration of your power orb. So normally a mana flux would last for half a minute, but with the bubblegum it lasts for a whole minute, which means you don't have to replace it as often and you can regen all of your mana back easily and still use some mana to heal. Okay, so now that we're done with the pets, we can move on to actual support items. So there's 4 support items as of now. The first one is the Ornate Zombie Sword. This gives you some intelligence, but it's not really used for that much. The main reason you would use this is for its ability. So it heals you for 144 and 5% of your max health. So if you have 1,000, that would be like you would heal around 200 health. Probably more because you would have more than 1,000. Because in dungeons I have, I think 15 or 1,600. So, and it also heals other people for 50 health, which will in dungeons with all the buffs will end up being around 100. The one problem with this is its cooldown, so you could use it 5 times, but once you use it, you have to wait 15 seconds just to use it once. So the cooldown is a bit annoying. The second one is obviously the mana flux, so it's too close to NPC, but a mana flux. So what this does is that it plays the orb for 30 seconds and buffs up to 5 players, which is the amount in your dungeon team, within 18 blocks, which is a pretty big range. It would probably be around a full room. So it costs 50% of max mana, but it grants 50% base mana regen, 2% max hearts per second, which ends up being around 5% max hearts per second in dungeons, and grants plus 10 strength, which helps a bit in taking out the boss. And the last item, I would only recommend this if you're on a hard floor or if you or in a boss room, so it's not terribly useful and it's 2 mil. It's the Weird Tuba. So this gives you and 4 other players, which is again how big your dungeon team is, plus 30 strength and speed for 20 seconds. So you could use this in a boss room to take it to beat it if you're having trouble. And you could use this in if you're speed running, because it gives you speed and strength. The last thing is the dungeon orb. Obviously you can't use it here, but you can see in skills what it does. It has healing circle, which it's just like an instant version of the mana flux, but it doesn't actually last long. It just shoots out an orb and it heals everyone for 2% of their health. It isn't really that useful in my opinion, but since the wait time is so little, and it doesn't cost mana or anything, it's okay to just switch to this every few seconds and use it. The second ability is Wish. So this ability is really useful, and it makes up for the other ability. It heals everyone a full health and grants them absorption shields for 20% of their health. So in a boss fight, right, maybe half a minute into a boss fight or less than that, if people are like half health, you could use this and everyone would instantly get healed. and they would get shields, so it would give them more health than they could normally get. So the other items in here are the adaptive blade and the voodoo doll. So the adaptive blade and the voodoo doll is most likely how you're going to be doing damage as a healer, because obviously if you do nothing but heal, you're not going to help out too much. You should also have like some sort of attack. So a voodoo doll can deal, I think in my case, that outside of dungeons it's probably not too much, but inside of dungeons I think it almost doubled. So right now it's 15. I'm pretty sure it can deal 25 if you have 800 mana. And then the second, so this would keep going on for 10 seconds, so these things get one tapped obviously, but if they didn't, it would just keep draining their health. And this is 200 mana, so this is pretty expensive, so I would only recommend using it on a boss or a mini boss like a archaeologist or lost adventurer. And then there's the adaptive blade, so this is what you're going to use on everything else. It is currently the best sword in dungeons, so mine's right now is maxed. I have the sharp enchant because everything is right now reforged for mana and EHP, so I don't have much crit chance. So that's the reason I put sharp, and sharp isn't terribly bad, so it's okay. Then so with healer, while you're holding this, it increases 20% HP red. Like you get 20% more HP regen for nearby allies. So if you put down a mana flux and switch to this, the mana flux will heal 20% more. And it also just gives +5 hearts to nearby allies, which again gets buffed in dungeons to like 7 or 8. And another thing is, this is why the healer circle is useful. So if you right click it, it uses your class ability, which in a healer's case would be the healing circle. So since lifesteal is nerfed in dungeons, what you can do is you can click you can basically block hit kind of, so it activates the ability while you're hitting. So every time your healing circle is ready, it'll use it and you can heal yourself. So it would be like a replacement to lifesteal, which is why I think the adaptive blade is definitely a weapon of choice for a healer. Because also right now in dungeons it's the best DPS weapon as well. So which is why you would want to use it. So that's basically it. A few other things, since this is my dungeon chest, is the diffuse kit, which increases your intelligence by 10%. Isn't terrible, but I mean not 10%, 10, which isn't terrible, but it's free intelligence, so why not? And then Super Boom TNT for secrets. So, well, now the only thing left to do is have like a look at the actual dungeon passives and ghost abilities, since I haven't done that. So the first thing is the renew passive, which is probably one of the most useful ones. So it instantly buffs all healing by 56%, and that obviously goes higher as you level up your skill. Like once you get to 50, you'll like be at double healing. Then you passively heal all living teammates within 10 blocks by 11% of their, I mean not 11, 1.1% of their health per second, which again is like a really good buff for a passive, as that's the same healing as you would get from a radiant power orb. And the last buff is probably the most useful of the two, which is revive. So this allows you to revive your teammates without wasting a fairy, so you could still get a better rank. And it also can be used to instantly revive yourself. And I think it also heals you, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's check that out. So spawns a fairy that follows you and uses its energy to revive dead teammates. While no one is dead, it'll stick around and provide support. So yeah, that support means that it randomly heals you every few seconds. Because I've noticed that it would say in chat, your fairy has healed you for 10% of your health or something like that. So it's really good. So then I think the only thing left is the ghost abilities. So the first one is Healing Potion, which you can throw a potion and heals all teammates in a 10 block radius, which is pretty big for a potion, for 10% of their max health plus 100 health. So if they had, like, let's say if you're healing a tank who has 2000 health, it would heal them for 300 HP in one potion. And then another really good ability is self-revive. So it'll revive yourself after 50 seconds. Right now this isn't really too useful because you get revived, I think, after a minute anyways. But in later floors when auto revive isn't a thing, this will become really useful for your healer. So, well, yeah, since this video is longer than expected, we might not have any dungeon gameplay. I'll make that into a separate video. But, well, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Since I'm a new channel, subscribing would mean a lot. As, like, right now I think I have like 3 or 4 subscribers, so if you subscribe, it'll boost it by like 25%, which would be really epic. And, well, yeah, so you can like this video and subscribe, and it would be cool. You could share this with your healer in your guild or dungeon party or whatever. And, well, yeah, that's it for now. And see you next time when I upload, which will probably be sometime this week. So, see ya.